In the Spanish Grand Prix. We are back after having a season break, and we are now at the halfway point of the season, round 8 of 15 of this season of OBF1, and spicy it is indeed the halfway point. There is just 1 point between the top 2 drivers of XD and H. Taylor, both in this race, so it should be entertaining. They're not far behind them. Good, like 20 points or so back, so he is quite far behind. He's probably a full race win behind, but it is short Marcus, and then just behind him SpongeBob, and then the constructors, you've got AlphaTauri still holding their lead ahead of the Ferraris and then the Hasses. So the difference in the constructors is quite big to the drivers. Both AlphaTauris have been quite consistent throughout the year, and that's why they've been leading the constructors, but Ferrari and Haas have very much been one-sided so far this year. But this good day, Jonathan Cox, mate. Good luck in the race, mate. We'll be rooting for you. But it's very close by this point of the season, and it should be a good race indeed. We put down your predictions for pole in chat. I would like to see who has who for pole, but me personally, judging by who is here, I'm going to go my way and I'm going to say, you know what, I'm going to go pretty basic. It's going to be an XD pole. He's changed his name to lil-jim, so we're going to call him lil-jim pole. That is my prediction. Quite basic, but I wanted to say Jesse, but he's actually not here. I was talking about the Aston Martin pairing coming up through the field in the constructors in the second half of the season. Now they've got a second driver, but unfortunately it's not going to be the case, as Jesse isn't here, and if we keep seeing him not arriving, well, there's not going to be much of that happen. There's not going to be much going up through the field happening. But see our first driver out on track, and it is Paul Harrison in the Williams car. He's shown some good pace throughout the season. He's been in the midfield quite a lot. He had a little go at the front runners at Portugal, being right up there, but then a wrong strategy kind of dropped him back, unfortunately. But nonetheless, medium tyres, I expect to see a lot of them on these cars. That is the strategy to go. Unless there's an early safety car, you want to be on the mediums, and you can't always count on that early safety car, and you're going to be looking at 17s on mediums, somewhere in the like a 17.5 to a low 17 for these guys. In tier 2 it was a low 18 to a high 17, but I reckon these quick guys on the mediums might even do a low 17, so we'll be looking at times as such on those medium tyres. Most people will give it 2 laps, 2 shots to do what they can, because I don't want to do too many laps on the mediums, because then you won't have any mediums left to drive with. But Paul Harrison comes around, he will take you along, first person on a lap in the qualifying session, as he'll come out through the chicane onto the straight, and he'll start his first flying lap easing on to the throttle. We activate DRS coming down the straight, and here Paul Harrison. There's a few more drivers coming out of the pit. So down into T1, braking it at that little grey mark on the left there. Bring it in, carving as much of that curve you can, but don't grab too much of that curve, because you'll end up spinning. Brings himself back over for this corner here. Flat out, if you take it right. A bit iffy from him there, not the best line. You want to run it a bit wide through here. Brake just after the bridge above, then bring it right out onto the exit. Bring it over, brake just as that wall starts to come in, and then bring it right on in, get a good exit out of there. Well done from Paul Harrison. And braking just after the curb starts here, bringing it in. Don't touch that curve, because it is basically an automatic spin. Then bring it right up, slight lift off through here, no need for much more. Runs it a bit wide, and that is an invalidation for Paul Harrison, so he'll back off and he'll try again later. But further behind him is the Alfa Romeo of Electric. I'm going to believe, no, it is one of the Ferraris who just came up, but he is the next person on track, and he has also invalidated, so he won't be doing anything right now. But one who hasn't invalidated, Short Marcus. He's currently on a flyer now. He's third in the championship, and he's going to be looking up to make some ground on those leaders. So a good quality here could very much get him there. We've seen Short Marcus. He has some very, very good race pace. He's always been making up those gains in the race, and that's where all his time has been coming from. He's not being the best in qualifying, but when he can do well in qualifying, you can see just how well he's done in the race. He got a win at Silverstone and got robbed personally by the gain of a win last night at Hungary. He had a commanding lead over H. Taylor, but then the game disconnected him and dropped him down to P2, unfortunately. But he did manage to get in time and try again, but he has backed off there. He isn't doing anything, but the first lap has been put in of a 1:17.6 on a set of mediums by George. A competitive time. Mr. C. Rees does an 18.1 on his mediums to go P2 for the time being. Still 5 tenths out for George, so he's going to be looking for some improvement. Still yet to see Mr. C. Rees right up there in a race yet, but I'm sure his time will come eventually. There's an 18.2 from hella high to put himself just behind Mr. C. Rees. Truckee does a 21.9 on his soft, so he'll want to improve on that as well. So AlphaTauri do have 2 drivers in here again, which is key. Whether they'll both finish in the top 10 or not, we'll have to see. I do. SpongeBob is 4th in the championship, and he has been quite consistent, so I would expect him to be up there in the top 10. Pistol Racing does a 25.5 on his set of mediums to go P5, and then Paul Harrison 18.7 on his for P4. So the only real competitive medium lap time that we're seeing so far is a 17.6 from George, which puts him on provisional pole for the time being. But there are some people on laps to watch out for. One person is lil-jim, but he's actually invalidated his lap, so he'll have to go around again and try again. But then the first soft tire time has been put in with a 17.4 from Anthony Spy. He had a little look at the top every now and again, but he hasn't quite consistently been out there, and there is a competitive medium time and a half. It's a 16.9 from H. Taylor to put him on provisional top pole for the time being. We got RRS Dunster coming out of the last corner now. He'll be the next person to set a soft tire time, but looking in the Delta, it doesn't look like it's a competitive one here. Go again, try again for another flyer. Is further behind. There's the Ferrari pulling out of Pistol Racing. Improves to a 19.5 on his set of medium tires. This electric Envy's actually going around without a front wing, so lucky not to DNF there for him. And Short Marcus, he stepped up his pace again with a 17.3 on a set of medium tires. Not a bad time indeed. I'm sure we'll see a few of these drivers, Short Marcus, H. Taylor, maybe even Mitch. SpongeBob does a 17.1. We'll see. I'm sure we'll see a fair few of these drivers just come into the pits, not go out again, because the starting on the medium tire can be crucial around here. Because although the one stop is possible on the softs, it is very annoying to do. The softs will wear out and they will become impossible to use. And then the hard tire, of course, then got to bring that quite a while as well, and it's just a lot easier to do the medium tires. And then if the one stop doesn't work on the soft tires, you then got to convert to a 2-stop, which is a lot slower than the one stop around this track. But there's still a few drivers out there, but you can see they're all really coming in. There's H. Taylor and SpongeBob still on the fly. He's still up, but only by a little bit. We run on board with him here, but he's actually backing off there. So is Short Marcus. Anton Spy, though, he's one who's not backing up. He is going for it. He's flying through the first sector. He's going to look to improve, see if he can put himself up there, because he is on the soft tires, so it's crucial that he gets himself ahead of these medium tire runners. Otherwise he's going to struggle to be behind them at the start of the race. His goal, if you want to start on the softs, you've got to get ahead of these guys, and then you've got to run away. Follow him though. I'll just be getting onto a fresh set of tyres, because these ones are quite done. He's slightly down though, so we can still improve. He might have lost a lot of time to the last sector. We'll keep on board with him. He's low on fuel, so he might be forced to come in here actually. You can see there those top 3 medium tire runners all in. I don't think they're going to be going out again. I don't even think we're going to see Mitch go out again, as that's a pretty solid medium tire time. But just too much curve there from Anton Spy, and he is out of qualifying for good. Anton Spy will not improve in this qualifying session, and will be 4th at best for the Red Bull driver. He's parked in the middle of the track, so I don't know what they're going to do about that. I'm sure they'll get that cleared up nice and quickly, but someone who's on a flyer, Paul Harrison, he's already a 10th up through the first. He is going to look to want to improve on an 18.7, but look how many laps he's done in these mediums. They aren't going to last very long, but they should still last long enough for a one-stop strategy. As long as he can get him to last for a one-stop, that's all that matters. He really wants to start in these mediums. You can tell because of how many laps he is doing. Through the second sector, he's 5/10 up, which would put him P8 just ahead of Hella High, his teammate, just behind Mr. C Rezo. But I'm sure we'll still see a lot of time from him in the last sector. I don't think he'll want to do any more laps than the one that he's on these medium tyres. I'm surprised he filled up for these many laps, but you can see that his fuel isn't too bad, so he hasn't gone too low on fuel. But as he comes across the line, he'll activate DRS. Across the line, it is an 18.2 to put himself just ahead of his teammate, but barely anything. But he does go ahead. Not many people out on laps now. XD or lil-jim, he's on a lap. He's still yet to do his flyer mediums. He's going to cross the line now, and he's going to do a 17 flat, put himself P2, and that will be his medium tyre run done. We'll be sitting here for quite a while, I reckon. There's not a lot of these drivers will be going out for many more laps. Paul Harrison, I imagine, will be coming in. Jonathan Cox still yet to do a lap. He's now out. He's flying at the moment. He hasn't done anything yet, but he is on the medium tyres. He's shown a bit of pace too. Portugal, he was up there, but again, wrong strategy call caused him to drop down the field, but still getting a decent position. But he has shown that if he puts enough time into it, he can be up there amongst some of those other drivers at the top, like Taylor, XD and such. But look at the top four, all top four in the championship. H. Taylor currently P2, 1 point behind lil-jim, which is absolutely crucial for the championship. So whoever finishes ahead of who in this race will take the championship lead, unless they both finish outside the points, which is very unlikely knowing the pace of those two drivers. Around the final corner though, here's Jonathan Cox on his medium tyres across the line. It's looking like a good time, you know. Across the line, he's going to do a 16.7. What a lap from Jonathan Cox. Puts himself on provisional pole on the medium tyres, and that is an amazing lap. Yes, a great lap from Jonathan Cox. Puts him on pole with a 16.7. I said he showed some pace at the front, and that there very much is front running pace. Not just front running pace, but possible winning pace, and that is a great lap. If I was him, not going again, not even risking it on softs, because that time is amazing. That was a stellar lap from Jonathan Cox to put himself 2 tenths, just over 2 tenths, 2.5 tenths ahead of H. Taylor, who's a driver who's been mighty quick all season. So, and to put himself 2.5 tenths ahead of him is absolutely amazing from the Alpine driver, and I'm sure he'll be very happy with that lap indeed. But actually, we've got another XD's not done. He's going out on softs. He wants pole, so he's taken a risk. It's a big risk. If I were him, I would have sat on the time that I had, but he's not happy with it. He wants to steal that pole off Jonathan Cox, but I don't think Jonathan Cox cares, to be honest. He can take the pole position for all he cares, because right now he has provisional pole in the mediums, and that's got to be the most crucial thing at the moment. But there's a fair few people going out on the set of soft tyres, so a lot of them not happy with their medium tyre lap, and they're going out again. But I will be very surprised indeed if I see Jonathan Cox go out for another lap. Short Marcus has invalidated his lap though, so he won't be going any quicker. Someone who hasn't though is Mitch in his Rebel car. He is going quicker up. He's going to come through the second sector split now, and he's 3 tenths up on his medium tyre lap. 3 tenths will put him P5 for the time being. Second on a set of soft tyres would actually lead the top spot on anyone who's done a medium tyre lap. Anthony Spy cannot improve as his teammate, and he's dropped all the way down to P7 so far, and he could be dropping even further down activate DRS so across the line, and it's going to be a 16.5. He'll take that provisional pole position off of Jonathan Cox, but Jonathan Cox did that lap on a set of mediums, and he's only a tenth behind the Red Bull driver. So very good lap from Jonathan Cox, but we've got to keep an eye on lil-jim here. Is he, he's championship leader. He's going to want the pole position. He's going to want the advantage on H Taylor. But at the same time, H Taylor's going to have the tyre advantage. So it's really all comes down to strategy this race. Qualifying is good to get a good position, but it all comes down to doing well in the race and finishing in a decent position. But it is looking good from XC. He's kept it clean, he's kept it within track limits, but he's kept it quick too. Second sector split, he's only 2 tenths up, so not enough for pole, not even enough to beat Jonathan Cox at the moment. But all his time can come from the last sector. That's where you're going to gain the most. The last sector, very technical, very difficult to get right, but if gotten right, can put together a beautiful lap for yourself. He shifts up to third and then fourth at the end of the chicane, so interesting to see from lil-jim. But across the line, he's going to do a 16.6 and go P2 for the time being, just behind Mitch, but he will be starting on the soft tyre, whereas H Taylor, no signs of him going out again. He'll be on the medium, same with Jonathan Cox, so he's going to have to worry about these drivers behind, these 3, 2 of which are fighting him in the championship, so he's got a lot to worry about. Mitch lil-jim does, and the fact that he didn't even put it on pole with the soft tyre run just hurts that much more to see. But he's gone for a consecutive fire, but he's a second down according to the Delta, so I don't think we'll see him improve yet. He's going quite slow there, so he's not going to improve. Mr. C Reese has put himself in the top 10 on a set of softs. He's gone P9. George, he did his lap on a set of mediums. He's now on his first soft tyre lap. We'll see him improve by a decent amount, enough to go on pole. Maybe, I don't know. The difference between soft and mediums doesn't seem to be as big as you would think around here. With the pace that some of these medium tyre runners are showing, it's really not worth the soft tyres, but some of these guys think it is. Oh, and he's just barely clipped the grass there. He's hit the wall, lucky not to DNF, and he will just get back underway and keep going. But without a front wing, that is qualifying for George over, but at least he can start on a set of medium tyres. Lonster's still yet to improve on his set of softs, as he's flying at the moment in his Alpine. But KRC's put himself P5 on a set of medium, so he's actually split SpongeBob and H Taylor, so good lap from him. Look at this though, they're going out again. They're not happy with the medium tyre lap, and they're going again. They want pole position, so this is very surprising for me, because I did a 17.1. I was pole for medium tyre runners. I was the top spot for medium tyre runners. I chose not to go out again, but these guys want to improve their lap, which is quite surprising to me. Jonathan Cox does clearly have the pace to blow away pole, but he's put in such a good time in the mediums. Why not start on them and have the strategic advantage on the guys around him? And yes, you're going to start 2 positions behind, but you stay out of the chaos. You could easily get ahead of him, and you just got to stick with him. Eventually your advantage on the medium tyre will grow, and you'll go past them like it's nobody's business. But apparently that isn't enough for these guys, and they all want to start on the softs. But SpongeBob not going out again, neither is KLC, so these two are only 2 in the top 10 who have opted to stay on the medium tyres. Everybody on their out laps, so about to go on to their final lap. Mitch will be the first person to finish his in quali. He'll be the first person to finish. He comes through the chicane, will come out of the last corner. There's still 30 seconds left, so I don't even know if half the drivers will cross the line, but he does come up, and he's going to start his flying lap. Just behind him, the Alpine of Jonathan Cox is starting his. Donster's retired or DNF'd somewhere, so he's also out. But yeah, the Ferrari man might not be able to start another lap. As we look at lil-jim, he might not be able to go again, and look at that, he's going to miss the clock. He has missed the clock, and that's the best he's gonna do is P2. But H Taylor is on a fly, so he wants to go ahead of his teammate here, and he wants that position. So I'm surprised to see so many people opting to go back out on a set of soft tyres despite doing such good laps on a set of mediums. Mitch wants to improve his time because he knows Jonathan is on a lap, and so is Chase Taylor. Those drivers mighty quick, and they're going to look to improve by a good amount and pass the Red Bull driver. Jonathan Cox 3/10 up, currently on for original pole. Remember, all that time will come from the last sector. That's where you'll gain the most, and if it's already gained 3/10 so far, what can you gain through the final sector? Mitch not even up. H. Taylor, I missed his sector split, but I'm sure it can't be that bad. Here comes Mitch across the line. He's not that far up. When he crosses the line, he's not going to improve at all. But Jonathan Cox, he's going to take pole position back. He will take original pole back, and he will take that right back from Mitch. But unfortunately, that means he has to start on a set of softs. But pole position is H. Taylor is backing off, and he's going to start in the medium. So he's done that strategically there. He's gone out again, but H. Taylor's on the medium, so he is the lead medium tyre runner. But Jonathan Cox, beautiful pace he has shown so far, and he does take pole position in qualifying. Great pace from him. I had lil-jim or XD on pole, and he's actually down in P3. Mitch right up there again. He showed some pace at Abu Dhabi, and he's back now.
Were 3 laps old, wouldn't last to get to my strategy.
Fair enough. So might as well go the softs in that case then, and well, you put in a beautiful lap on the softs to take pole position anyway, so at least you've got track position there. So it is Jonathan Cox who takes P1 ahead of Mitch. lil-jim P3. Chris, beautiful job from him to, I think, do it his best so far this season, and P4 in his Alfa Romeo. H. Taylor lead on the medium tyres. He takes P5, followed by KRC P6, and then SpongeBob P7. So we're going to want to look out for those medium tyre runners as they come through the field. But Jonathan Cox is lead on softs, and then H. Taylor lead on the set of medium tyres. And judging by that qualifying session, this should be a great race. Of course, quite easy to spin around this track. There's a fair few corners that you can do it at. You've got to be careful, but penalties are also going to be a problem. It's not easy to get a penalty, but it's not like it's difficult either. It's never really difficult at any track, but there's just a few corners where you can find yourself understeering or just turning in that little bit too much, and that's when you pick yourself up a penalty, unfortunately. But just 15 seconds till the lights start to go out, and we'll get underway from the midway point of the season in round 8. The Spanish Grand Prix. After the Christmas break, we are back. 2-week break we had, and I'm sure everyone missed racing, but they are glad to be back now. There they all are on the grid. Jonathan Cox on pole. Mitch P2, 5 red lights. They are out, and away we go. It is Jonathan Cox from Mitch. Good start from Jonathan Cox, and XD just behind him. Jonathan Cox gets a beautiful start because a full car length ahead. Is there going to be a lunge from Mitch? Not enough to get ahead, but look at that. XD trying around, or lil-jim trying around there outside of Mitch, but it's not going to work. Mitch holds on to P2. Jonathan Cox holds on to the lead, and no issues behind, but it actually looks like there might be damage further behind as his car's going quite slow. But it's a great start from Jonathan Cox, and look at him go. He's already pulled a good gap on the drivers around him to put himself to hold on to the lead and really pull a good gap. If he keeps on this, he might be able to pull with them outside second, and you know how much it can change a race to pull yourself outside a second. H. Taylor remains P4 on his strategies, but SpongeBob has put himself ahead of P5, and KRC has had a terrible start. He's dropped down to P8. Short Marcus P7. He's also a medium tyres. Another one to watch out for. So we've got to look out. So we've got to look out for H. Taylor, SpongeBob, and Short Marcus, all on the medium tyres and all in the championship battle. The only one in the top 4 in that championship fight who didn't opt for the medium tyres is lil-jim, who is P3 at the moment. Jonathan Cox, of course, that's the fastest lap. It's just the first lap being done, and there's a few people pitting, so there was a few bits of damage. I thought I noticed Ferrari going slow, and there was, and there's a 5-second penalty for Anton Aspire. Mitch, no! Mitch is spun, and he's around. He's going to rejoin the track, and there goes KRC. Carnage on this lap, and luckily KLC isn't out of the race, but unfortunate for Mitch, he doesn't get damaged, so he gets back on track just fine. But look at this. That means that Jonathan Cox has pulled P2 outside of a second, so that is huge for Jonathan Cox in the Alpine to pull XD outside a second, but so devastating for Mitch. Again, when he's been up the front, the pressure's gotten to him and he's lost it coming out of the corner. I did say it's quite easy to spin around here, so you got to be careful on the curbs, and unfortunately he did spin. Another one going down the curb. SpongeBob's had some sort of incident. He's dropped down to P11, so just bad to worse for these guys up front, and this is bringing H. Taylor right into it. He's right behind XD and he's on the medium tyres, so we still don't want to count H. Taylor out of this, and he's got a P4 outside a second gap. Short Marcus all over the back of him. He's going to want to get past him instantly. As we come on to lap 3, DRS will be enabled for these guys. H. Taylor has dropped back a bit, so H. Taylor's now under attack from the Alfa Romeo of Chris. He's got it. He's on the back of him here. I'm sure he'll be activating ERS. He's trying everything, but not enough. H. Taylor's going to hold position for the time being. He's not going to have a look. He's going to stick behind, try to pull along with the Haas driver, as he knows he's got some good pace, and if he can pull himself along with him, he might be able to catch the likes of XD once those soft tyres start to wear out. But Short Marcus wouldn't be thinking the same. He wants to get past this Alfa Romeo driver because he knows just ahead of him is the Haas of H. Taylor. But perfect start for Jonathan Cox. He could not have asked for more. He's got 2 seconds on P2 and has put him well outside DRS range, but then even further back, lil-jim has pulled H. Taylor outside DRS range, so these top two just running away off the start with a bunch of incidences, and they find him. That means that this DRS train is going to start from P3 and it's only going to go back to P6. But Mr. C. Reese, great start. We're not used to seeing him this high up, but he's got some great pace and he's on the medium tyres, so we could see him actually do something here. But Mr. C. Reese putting in a great start to this race. The commentator for tier 2 doing very well to put himself P6 after the start. He's showed some good pace in those medium tyres. He's stuck to the medium tyres and he's doing well so far to put himself up to P6 so far in this race. But H. Taylor into T1 stays ahead of Chris, but Chris has Short Marcus all over the back of him here. Short Marcus is going to be looking to get past somewhere. Where it is, we'll have to find out. But H. Taylor's pulling it out. The DRS will be annoying him here because he could have very much pulled him outside a second if it weren't for the DRS already. But H. Taylor still owns P3, Chris P4, Short Marcus P5, and we've got to keep an eye on the train. We cannot take our eyes off of it because anything could happen at any time. And further behind, there are more trains behind, but obviously still I think 3 safety cars and 2 VSCs in tier 2, so don't count a safety car out of it. With reduced safety cars too, there seems to be quite a lot of safety cars, but these guys keep it quite consistent. Don't expect to see as many as we did in tier 2, but nonetheless it should be quite entertaining. Look at Jonathan Cox, he's still increasing his gap out front, nearly 3 seconds now, just keeping it consistent, keeping it quick, and pulling as much of a gap as he can. H. Taylor has now pulled Chris outside a second, but Chris did enough to get DRS just before. Actually, no, he didn't. I got that wrong. So H. Taylor has put him outside DRS, and now Short Marcus needs to push, activate his overtake, and get right on past the Alfa Romeo driver. He cannot lose too much time to H. Taylor. If he gets past, he can still catch up, get back in with him DRS, because H. Taylor doesn't have DRS in the car ahead, or he can at least do enough to stick with him and then undercut him when the pit stops and come around. But Short Marcus, I'm sure, will be looking for an overtake as soon as possible, so come up onto the second DRS straight. You don't think he'll be close enough for a lunge in here, but he's going to have a little look. He doesn't make it happen. He would have just been trying to scare Chris, but it didn't scare him enough to cause him to make a mistake or anything like that. So he will stay P4 for the time being, but there's the long straight coming, and I'm sure he'll be activating DRS obviously and ERS to get right on past the Alfa Romeo drivers. They come onto the straight. Look just how close he is He has to lift off a little bit there, but overtake is on. DRS is activated now, and he is gaining. Look at Chris weaving all over the place. He doesn't want him to go past into T1. He's gonna make the line. She goes up the inside. He keeps it clean, leaves him room on the inside, but he touches the curb, has to lift off a little bit, and that is short Marcus up into P4 and pushing towards H Taylor. But then just behind Chris is now Mr. C. Rees looking to push even further up the grid on his medium tyres. These softs do wear out, like I said, but by the looks of things, they're not wearing out enough to the point of where the medium tyre has that big of an advantage. These guys could probably take the softs 10 or so laps, which is enough. The hard tyres can last quite a while if you allow them to around here. So you could make them last the whole race if you wanted to, if you're really good with your tyres and you get lucky with punctures. But Mr. C. Rees doing very well on the back of Chris, and we'll be looking to get right on past him as soon as possible. But this fighting has invited George into the party. He's up in the P7, so he's another one with a great start to find himself P7 for the time being on the back of this train. But Chris hasn't quite dropped out outside DRS, which would be good for him, bad for Mr. C. Rees. But look how close he is. He's activating ERS. He doesn't care. He's going to give it his all. He's going to go for the move on the Alfa Romeo driver. Look how close he is. To the outside he'll have to go. He'll hold it around the outside of the time, bang, but it's not enough, and Chris holds the position. He should have gone for the inside line there, and he would have been right on through. He would have been right on through in to P5, but now he's going to have to wait behind another lap, which is absolutely crucial, because that means short Marcus can pull outside DRS range and run away. But like we saw how much being behind Chris for an extra lap hurt short Marcus, as he's now 2.4 behind H Taylor, and he would want to be a lot closer than that to H Taylor. But H Taylor closing in lil-jim now, and a good amount here. 7 laps in, these tyres are going to be starting to drop off. These medium tyres will be coming quicker, and we're seeing that here. Look at just how much H Taylor is closing in the championship leader of lil-jim. Only 1 point he has, remember, ahead of H Taylor. So whoever finishes ahead of who will take the lead or hold the lead after this round. He does have DRS, H Taylor, and we're gonna have to keep an eye on this battle here as he closes in. Jonathan Cox makes an early pit stop. Has he got damage, or is he going on to a set? Oh, he's two-stopping it. He's changing strategy. He is two-stopping. Bold move from Jonathan Cox to two-stop the Spanish Grand Prix, especially with how long that pit lane is. Two-stop is a lot slower, so again, a different strategy from Jonathan Cox. We saw the same thing at Portugal. He opted for the hards instead of the mediums, and it hurt him a lot. He dropped very far back indeed. Has going for this strategy ruined his race possibly, or has he done the perfect thing and done an amazing job now to put himself in the prime position to run away with this lead? Like, he hasn't dropped that far back. We look at the gap to the leader. He's only 15 seconds off of him, so he has to make 15 seconds up, but he's going to be on the fresher tyres, and he's only going on to another set of mediums, so his tyres are going to be perfect. But that means that this battle here is for the lead of the Grand Prix. We miss Mr. C. Rees getting past Chris, but he did make it happen. H Taylor's going to be careful, because the last thing he wants is short Marcus also catching up, but he's going to want to get past XD. XD isn't going to want to let him pass, remember. He knows that this is for the championship lead, so he's going to give it a hell of a fight. It's hella high. Gives himself a 3-second time penalty in this race. You can see he's not going to actually fight too much. He'll give him a squeeze to the inside here, but H Taylor into turn 1 takes the lead ahead of XD quite easily, and he'll look to run away now, as XD's still got to stretch those soft tyres a bit longer. And I did say the medium tyre was the way to go, and it is proving to be the case here, as XD, or lil-jim, is struggling quite a lot now. Not what you want to see, but unfortunately it is what it is for the time being. But I'm sure he'll find some pace on those hard tyres, and he'll come right back at H Taylor later on the race. But he's already put him outside DRS range, so these softs not looking good at all. Struggling a good amount and not looking too quick for the time being. When he's, I'm sure we'll see him pit sooner this lap, maybe next lap. I don't think he'll want to pull it much longer than that, because he's gonna start to lose way too much time. If he's already been pulled outside a second instantly by H. Taylor, he's not gonna want to pull it too much longer, because those soft tires are going to end up being the death of him as H. Taylor comes through the lap. Truck fireman, as Mr. C. Reeves picks up his first time penalty. He picks up a 3 second, which isn't what he would have wanted, but SpongeBob has somehow found himself up to P6 after his issues early on in the race. Jonathan Cox says the fastest lap, 19.3, as he's coming through the field. We've got to keep an eye on him as he flies past the Williams drivers, and he is going to be gaining in on the leaders. This could actually be an amazing strategy call from Jonathan Cox. The two-stop is predicted by the game to be like 10 or so seconds slower, but Jonathan Cox proving it isn't as slow as it appears to be, and it might actually be the way to go. So especially if there's a safety car, if there's a safety car, this is perfect for Jonathan Cox. Not right now, but if once everyone pits, there's a safety car, he is perfect for the win here. So this could be exactly what he wants. Short Marcus gaining in on lil-jim, but not too much. That might mean that lil-jim holds it out a little bit longer. Short Marcus obviously won't be looking for the undercut, but more the overcut on those medium tires on lil-jim, whereas lil-jim, if Short Marcus gets past, will be looking for the undercut. He'll come around and he won't pit, so he'll stay out another lap on those soft tires, and the more he stays out, the worse those tires get. So it's only going to get worse from here for that for the Ferrari driver. But look at this from Haas wanting to not only win the drivers but win the constructors too, as Jonathan Cox sets another fastest lap in clean air, absolutely flying at the moment. But these Haas drivers wanting to come out through the field and beat AlphaTauri. Of course, as it stands, I think they'll actually pass the AlphaTauri drivers. There's another incident from SpongeBob. He's dropped right down the field. There is a yellow flag. Is that a safety car? That may be a safety car. Drivers seem to be going slow. It might just be a VSC. If it's a safety car, this could hurt Jonathan Cox a lot. The last thing he needed on this alternate strategy was a safety car, and there is a safety car. It wasn't showing up for me, but confirmation there that there is a safety car. Unfortunate scenes for him, but this is good for lil-jim. Whether Jonathan Cox decides to just pit onto the hards now and firm it to the end with everybody else, just play it safe, go on everybody else's strategy, or take the lead in the mediums, run away again, pit again, and then come back at these guys again. Of course, for his strategy, he really needed no safety cars in this race, unless the safety car came right around his pit stop time. So it's very unfortunate. H. Taylor and XD and Short Marks in the Haas is double stacking here. So how will their double stack work? H. Taylor comes in, he's going to take off the tires. There's a lap car coming around there, won't hold him up though. In comes Mr. C. Reeves, and it'll be perfect timing for the Haas driver. So he'll come in and instantly be able to put his tires on. So good pit stop from the Haas crew, and you can see Jonathan Cox opts to stay out on his medium tires, and he's just going to want to run away when the when safety car restart does happen. So he is going to look to just pull away when he can, but nonetheless his tires aren't that old. Just remember that lil-jim has got medium tires, so he's converting to the two-stop, maybe even one stopping from here. I wouldn't put it out of the picture, but there's a fair few drivers on the medium tyres, so lil-jim's going to come right back at H. Taylor here. Short Marcus, Mr. C. Reeves opting for the hards, Chris opting for mediums. Two more mediums behind for those two-stop split. On it, Jonathan Cox always has these different strategies, and you know what? This two-stop, or this to go into the medium tyre, it was a bold choice, but it might actually be the choice of the race. So interesting choice, but he looks like he's going to make it work. Jonathan Cox, so 6 seconds of time penalty, so he really needed that two-stop to work out, 'cause now he's gonna have to make up a lot of time behind this SC. But the halfway point of the season, we've seen a fair few drivers right up there. I think we've had roughly 5 or 6 different winners. We've seen a win for H. Taylor, XD, Short, Marcus, Jesse won a race, who isn't here. SpongeBob, I think he won a race. We also had the likes of what was his name? Troy. He won 2 races himself. He was just a reserve driver, but every time he came in, he picked the alternate strategy and he drove it beautifully. But Jonathan Cox, another one of those who always goes for the different strategy, and well, the different strategy here is looking quite good. Will Internet bypass Jonathan Cox? He should do so. He should be allowed to, and it looks like he might, maybe not actually, which not allowing the lap cars to overtake could be huge, you know. He's trying, I think XD's trying to let him pass, but I mean Jonathan Cox is trying to let him pass, but the safety car doesn't want him to pass, so this is going to be huge for the drivers behind him. Of course, he'll go, so they won't really have to worry. They should go straight through him, but it just puts that much of a gap in between H. Taylor and Jonathan Cox. Jonathan Cox can just run away instantly on those medium tires, and he doesn't even have to worry about pulling him outside of DRS range. As he drivers will bunch up, we might see the safety car come in this lap. We'll wait for confirmation. Not everybody's caught the safety car though. We're still waiting on goddamn SC, man. That strategy though was actually looking like it was gonna work. I didn't think the alternate strategy would be the way to go, but it looked quite good off the bat in that stint without the SC. But the SC comes at a terrible time after just before everyone was about to pit. SC is in, so Jonathan Cox will back up the field. He'll be getting ready to go back underway, but he's going to want as much of a gap to H. Taylor as he can get. Try to back the Rebel up into him. Out of the final corner, he'll go, and we are back underway for green flag racing. There's a 1.4 second gap, 1.3 second gap to H. Taylor and Jonathan Cox. Jonathan Cox are on the medium tyres. They might not be as fresh, but they're not worn enough to the point where it's a disadvantage. H. Taylor weaving all over straight, getting some temps into those tyres. Didn't get enough under SC, but that's allowed lil-jim to come at him here. These guys are going to have a battle of the ages, both fighting for the championship. 1 point between the two, number 12 and number 50 of the Haas car and the Ferrari guys. These guys are also sitting second and third in the constructors, but with the way Haas are sitting in this race, they might actually take the lead of the constructors as well as the lead of the drivers. So these guys looking great. It's not very corresponding to real life, but with this is the game and everybody is at equal performance. I'm sure it'd be a lot different if it wasn't equal performance cars, but look at these guys go. They're gonna have an absolute battle down the straight though. I think XD or lil-jim will get right past H. Taylor quite easily, but look at Jonathan Cox go. What did I say? He's gonna look to just pull the gap, run away instantly, because he'll be able to pull more of a gap than he had before, and then he will pull in probably like a second a lap, I'd say, on a fresh set of medium tyres. He'll pit probably around lap 20, 21, going to set of mediums. He might even stretch it onto another set of softs. I don't know if he might just be going to the mediums, because the medium tyres just seem to be such a great race tyre for this race. 3-second time penalty given to SpongeBob there. He's down in P10. Look at the race that he has wanted, but we've got to keep an eye on these guys here. DRS won't be activated for a while, so XD might be stuck behind him for a decent amount of time here, which isn't what he's going to want. Anderson Spy might also be distracting these two drivers, might cause an incident or something like that. What Jonathan Cox wants now is a safety car that works in his favour. Everybody else has had a safety car to work in their favour. If he can get one to work in his, he can easily win this race. He needs one around about lap 20 or so, and then he's right back in this race quite easily, because then he'll pit. Everyone else will pit behind him. He'll come out in the lead, and he can run away and have a good fight for the win. He lost the chance of the win at Portugal, but he's back now, and he wants the win here. He is hungry in Spain. But look at lil-jim all over the back of H. Taylor on those medium tyres. You can just see the advantage he has on the mediums, but he also has to worry about getting these mediums to the end. DRS will be enabled as they come onto this lap now. Confirmation there it is, DRS enabled, but he is going to need DRS. He's got DRS on the back of the Hash driver. He'll move to the outside as H. Taylor goes defensive. Under braking, remember he has more grip than the Hash driver. He gets a nice squeeze from him. He runs nice and wide. They're still side by side through here. This is exactly what Jonathan Cox wants. Good racing, battling from these guys behind so he can pull even bigger of a gap, but they're not giving up. Yeah, XD still on the outside. Look at these guys going. You can see why they're both so close in the championship, still running side by side, very close, almost contact there by the looks of things. But H. Taylor giving him a good fight and set of hard tyres, but he's got DRS, remember. He can stick behind him now and he can come right back at him on the next straight. So although he's on the hard tyres, he can do so. He's got a 3-second time penalty there, which could ruin his race, but he's going to come right back at him here on the straight. Look just how close he is with DRS activated here. Hash driver down the, have a look down the inside. It isn't going to work, but he'll stick behind again through the third sector and try on this main straight. H. Taylor not giving up, and these guys having an absolute scrap and a half for the lead of the championship at the moment. But H. Taylor does have that 3-second, which could be under him here, but you can see just how much time those hard tyres are losing him. But I'm sure he'll have more ERS than the Ferrari driver, though. You can see just how much they have. They're basically equal, 62% I think I saw on H. Taylor's car. He'll activate DRS, possibly ERS too, not quite activating ERS, and he won't gain enough, so this will mean that it's enough for lil-jim to just pull away now and head towards Jonathan Cox, because lil-jim does now have the advantage on Jonathan Cox as he's on a fresh set of medium tyres, where Jonathan's are 8 laps old. When Jonathan pits again, we'll have to wait and see. These guys keep scrapping though, then it could be work towards Jonathan's favour. Of course, medium tyres last them out in 17-18 laps max. If you're really good, you might be able to get in 20 laps, and that is what XD is relying on. He's relying on getting him so long and then just relying on the puncture not coming through, because if he gets that puncture, that's the end of his race. But right now Jonathan Cox still pulling a gap, and look just how close H. Taylor is. He isn't giving up here, you know. He's keeping nice and close to the Ferrari. He doesn't want to back off. A mistake on exit here for the Ferrari, and we could easily see H. Taylor come right back at the Ferrari, man. Championship leader, look just how close he is there. He backed right on up. It was not, he got a good exit though, but look how close H. Taylor is. He'll activate DRS, no ERS being used. XD not even using ERS. He might come back at him here. Look how close he's getting, but no, look to the inside. He's staying behind him for the time being, and he's literally pushing the Ferrari, man. On his set of hards, he's still managing amazing pace. H. Taylor showing why he should be leading this championship and why he is right up there. But Jonathan Cox, his gap is up to 4.5, so he's still pulling a good gap on these drivers. Pit loss roughly like 23-24 seconds, I'd say, but actually, judging by last time, it's probably like 17-18 seconds, so it's not even that big, and he will have the advantage on the fresh medium tyres when he does pit. But what he needs is contact between these two behind a safety car, and then he is very much on for the win. And look just how much these guys are going at it. He deactivates DRS, so I don't know if he's trying not to go past XD or what, but XD just isn't looking to have the pace on the medium tyres. So if I was H. Taylor, I'd be getting past the Ferrari, man, because he doesn't have the pace. If anything, he should be working with you, because you clearly have a better pace in this race. But look at H. Taylor all over the back of him here. Doesn't get the better exit again, but look how close he is. He's closer than he's ever been. Easy. This is going to be the easiest overtake of H. Taylor's life. XD not even defending it. H. Taylor to the inside. Sure, Marcus and stuff are still there, but I'm just too invested in this battle. Championship leaders still going at it. A titanic battle behind. There is a yellow flag, and no! It is all over for Jonathan Cox, as he has binned it with a 5-second lead on his medium tyres. That was the last thing he needed. He had the lead. He would have came out in the pole position and he would have gone right on past these drivers. But just like that, it is all over for Jonathan Cox in the Alpine. He still might be able to scavenge a few points in this race, but that means this is now for the lead, and these guys are not going to hold back because there's no difference in strategy here. They're all going to the end, and it's full send now from both these drivers to the end. But look just how much pace H. Taylor has now. XD giving it his all to keep with him, but he just can't. He's flipped into a new gear and he's just flying. But disappointing for Jonathan Cox. He got what he needed. He pulled him instantly out of DRS. They battled. He pulled a 6-second gap and he was about to pit and then fly away. An 18.8, new fastest lap from H. Taylor. Beautiful lap on a set of hard tires. But yeah, Jonathan Cox had exactly what he needed there. He had the gap and he was going to pit. He was going to come flying at these guys, and he might have even pulled that 6-second gap, or even a 3-second lead, all he needed on H. Taylor. But it happens, unfortunately, an incident, and he is gone in this race, and he's now 3.5 behind short Marks. But look at this. I'm just saying this now. All of these guys, top 4 in the championship, top 3 in the championship, actually. All 3 of these guys, top 3. Where they finish is the order they'll finish in the championship. Of course, at the moment, if they finish where they are, this will be the championship order. If Short Marcus leads, though, he won't be able to take the lead, but he will take a good chunk out of their lead, of course. And they're not going to give up easily, though. XD still all over the back of H. Taylor here. He still has 13 laps to go on these medium tires, so he's going to have to do 21 laps in total, which is very long to go. That's about as long as the hard tires he predicted to go, let alone the mediums. He is still on the back of these guys here. Short Marks looking for redemption, obviously, after his unfortunate disconnect and dropping down to P2 last time against H. Taylor, who he actually gifted the win to from that incident. Actually doesn't end up being close enough to go for a move there, but he'll stick by and we'll try again next time around. But he's got to get closer than what he has been to H. Taylor, but he's not saving that much ERS either. He's sitting quite low in it as well, so it's just not looking as good as he would have wanted it to. Jonathan Cox would be kicking himself at the moment. His best bet at getting a good amount of points here is just firming it to the end, but those medium tires will not last. He needs a safety car. If there is a safety car, I've said it before, he will be right back in this race. But he's really got to rely on a safety car coming through for him here. He's had the pace all weekend and he's shown it. He is gaining on these guys in the lead. I mean, they keep battling. Anything is impossible, but he does need someone to cause him a safety car. Maybe some strategies within the Alpine team to give him his safety car. But obviously not very good sportsmanship to do so, so I don't think that would be happening. But lil-jim just barely holding onto slipstream here, trying to save his tires, holding onto DRS. See just how much he's gaining on the straight though from using his ERS to keep with H. Taylor. He's having to give it his all, whereas H. Taylor is just playing it a bit conservative here, not pushing too much, not risking too much, as he doesn't want to end up down the field like Jonathan Cox. He's happy, I'm sure, to lose position to XD for the time being, because he knows he'll just gain it back again later on his fresher tyres. But we saw a late safety car in the last race and in tier 2, and carnage from such. Whether we'll see it again this race, we don't know, but last time it was lap 20. Remember lap 21-20, the safety car came out and we didn't get back underway until lap 24, I believe it was. But nonetheless, if there was a safety car now, it would very much throw a spanner in the works for these drivers. This is for the leader of the championship. Remember, these guys aren't going to hold back. H. Taylor has the extra 0.2 for the fastest lap for the time being, so I'm sure that will be stolen though by Jonathan Cox if he chooses to pit. But I think right now he's staying out and he's just praying for a safety car. If he gets a safety car, that is exactly what he needs. But that first safety car screwed him over massively, and then to spin Again, to spin from a beautiful recovery up to the SC is just unfortunate for the Alpine driver, and I'm sure he'll be kicking himself after it, but he's gotten back in the groove here and he's looking to push back towards these guys. Although they're on fragile tyres, he does not care. He is still showing some beautiful pace in this race. Look at just how close these guys are, still holding on to it. But even further behind, you've got a battle between the two Alfa Romeos, and you got Mitch, and you got all these guys behind on worn mediums. Of course, is electric and the pit the same lap that Jonathan Cox did. So whether he'll make it to the end or not, I think he's also preying on a safety car. A lot of these drivers will be preying on a safety car. Pistol Racing will be preying on a safety car as he opted for soft, so he's definitely going to have another pit stop. Whether there's a puncture or not in the end, we'll have to find out. But we'll kick back to the lead as they come down the front straight here. It doesn't look like there's going to be any gains or enough gains to go for the lead, and there isn't in the end. So we'll kick back to the next DRS train, the two Alphas. It goes defensive, he's weaving all the plates, so these guys are not opting to work together. They kind of look to fight each other, but it's not enough into T1. And then you got these guys further behind. KRC, the Williams, Paul Harrison on the inside, takes too much curb and is around. Unfortunate for the Williams driver, but not enough for a safety car, not enough for damage or anything like that. So he will just get back, underway in this race and push on forward. But lil-jim not looking to drop outside DRS anytime soon. Jonathan Cox picks up another time penalty, pushing to the absolute limit. So safety car could also ruin him here with all those time penalties to his name. But it's unfortunate to see him have his spin and drop down. Obviously the win on track, or even if he hadn't gotten it on penalties, it's still nice to get it on track to get the win. You feel like it means a bit more if you do it that way. But either way, these guys up front fighting for it. And I think what XD is actually doing here, lil-jim's actually doing here, is playing the conservative game. Now that I look at it, safety car's out. There's a safety car. Jonathan Cox, you have been given a miracle, mate. You have just been given a miracle. You pit onto a set of sauce, my guy. You pit onto a set of sauce. A miracle has just been given to Jonathan Cox, and he's been given his last minute safety car. Although he's got penalties, it's gonna be his saviour in this race. A last minute safety car for Jonathan Cox, and he has been given a miracle. Why? I think it was actually because his team, no, not his teammate, the other IRS guy of hella high, lost it, and he is out in this race. But look how many people are pitting. Leaders are the leaders pitting. People further behind have opted to pit. It should be such a good finish to this race. He wasn't happy about it last SC, but I'm sure he'll be jumping up and down in his seat, in his cockpit at the moment with this one coming out. Although it's hurting some penalties wise, he can get onto the right tyre now and push on. He'll be kicking himself again in the penalties, but the win on track is a lot more meaningful than the win with penalties. But we'll carry around the chicane now. Will they pit? That is the question. Hey Shayla, Bills Cross, he does pit. XD pits. Short Marcus pits. Jonathan Cox pits. Mr. C Rees, is he going to double stack with his teammate? Yes, he does. He pits. George, he comes in. He pits. Electric Envy, he pits. Is he going to stop? Is Chris going to double stack with his teammate? Yes, he is. He pits. Mitch pits. The whole field into the pit lane. So they'll all come out in their respective positions. Of course, no big hold-ups, except for maybe Mr. C Reese, but of course he got into the pit lane at a well enough time to be where he is. Jonathan Cox, he still will have his penalties, of course, but we'll have to go through all the penalties. It's gonna hurt a lot of people with those penalties, but nonetheless, Jonathan Cox, the pens are annoying, mate, but the win on track means a lot more than the win with the penalties. Yes, it's unfortunate. It is something you got to get used to. These strict corner cutting, it is difficult not to get a penalty, and you do have to do very well to avoid it. Me myself in my race, I got 6 seconds worth of penalties. Like, Man, because I got two warnings on lap 1. I managed to go quite a few laps after that without them though. But these guys won't be under safety car for too long. They can't keep them under SC for too long. We want as many racing laps as we can get between the championship rivals. None of these guys will back down, I can tell you that much. Seeing them race all season long, I know for a fact we won't be seeing them back down anytime soon. There were a lot of people weaving throughout the field, getting temps into their tyres. But you can see Short Marcus doing a little Kimi Raikkonen there, just sitting in a straight line. No need to weave, no need to warm up his tyres. He's too good for warm tyres. Safety car will stay out one more lap, I imagine, and then it will give us 6 laps of racing. So we will get laps on the DRS with DRS activated, which is the main purpose here, which is what we want. We don't want to have just a few laps, no DRS, and just slipstream, because without DRS it's not easy to make an overtake. Of course, all these guys will get their ERS up to max, of course, so I have to keep an eye on that. But Short Marcus, actually, let's keep an eye on Short Marcus. He could come out of nowhere here. He's in the top 3 in the championship, but he's got no penalties, whereas Hayes Taylor does. If he gets past XD and just sticks to the back of Hayes Taylor, that could very much be the win with penalties. But of course, everybody will be looking for the win on track, not just the win with penalties. But yeah, Jonathan Cox kicking himself after that after the spin with all the penalties. So we went for the spin, went for all the penalties. He would be the leader right now on a set of fresh soft tyres, and that would be exactly what he would have wanted in this race. But this does bring a few more drivers back into SpongeBob. Unfortunately, is DNF'd in this race, so he's out. But you know, you might see a few more drivers come back up. Mitch had his early spin. He could be coming back through the field. And look, all these people without penalties. All these people without penalties could come flying back through the field. Is everybody from 9th down, no penalties, and 2nd and 3rd, no penalties. But then 1st and then 4th to 8th all have penalties in this race. They're weaving behind safety cars. So the last thing XD or Short Marcus want is to finish with a safety car in this race. But it'll be a full push to the end. No giving up here. The safety car confirmed in this lap, and we're about to get back underway and racing. We cannot take our eyes off these top guys up front. The Hash driver looking to take the lead of the championship after getting very bad luck early on in this championship. He's came back through, and he's only 1 point behind the Ferrari man. He was gonna back him up still a bit more. The safety car isn't quite in yet. He can't go till he has a big enough gap to the safety car. Because if he goes and he catches the safety car, well, then he's got to back off again. So he's gonna back him right on up here. He will go through the chicane. Will he go just out on the exit of the chicane? XD keeps nice and close to him. He's still waving, come straight, and he has gone. They are back underway and racing, and look at the restart for Jonathan Cox. He's all over the back of Short Marcus here. He'll be giving it his all on the Aston Martin. On the back, Short Marcus goes defensive. Jonathan Cox to the outside on the brakes. Who's going to take it through T1? The star by side. Jonathan Cox now has the inside though on Short Marcus, and he gets through up into P3. Great restart for Jonathan Cox, showing why he should be leading this race. He will now push towards XD or lil-jim for P2 in this race. You wouldn't want to be fighting him too much. He has his penalties, remember, so there's not too much to worry about. But what Jonathan Cox wants to do right now is get into the lead and just run away with it. So you can do that. He might not win the race, but you can at least salvage a decent position in this race. But let's give our hands to Mr. C. Ray's not used to seeing him too far up here, but could be a season best finish for him, sitting P5 at the moment, and this would be the lead in the constructors for Haas if they finish where they are now. So Haas showing their force to be reckoned with, as H. Taylor gets another 3-second time penalty. So that's going to be the end of him there. He could be dropping right down through the field. Of course, Jonathan Cox has 9 seconds worth of penalty, so all he has to do is get H. Taylor, pull 3 seconds on him. But look at that, H. Taylor's already pulled lil-jim or XD outside DRS range, so he's going to get right back in it instantly though. DRS won't be enabled for another lap, so he's still got a lot to do. Further behind them, Mitch on the back of George. He's going to be looking for a move on the Mercedes man. Down the inside he'll look, and it won't quite be the move there into T1, and no moves further down the field. Keep look eye on these top guys. Jonathan Cox not being able to get too close to XD either, so Don't know how much overtaking we'll be seeing until DRS is enabled. H Taylor pulling as much of a gap as he can on XD. So far he's gotten the gap just over a second, which is what he needs. DRS won't be activated till next lap, and we'll get 4 laps under DRS. I'm sure we won't see any more SCs. We might see a quick VSC, but no more SCs for the rest of the race. But look just how much H Taylor has pulled now. He's done an amazing job so far on the safety car restart to pull 1.1 seconds to lil-jim, and lil-jim will be looking to gain even more on H Taylor. There is a yellow flag, someone's dropping down, and it's Electric Envy. He's dropped all the way down to last place now, and he's Alfa Romeo, and George has picked up another 3-second time penalty there. Lil-jim though still sitting just outside 1 second, but of course the first DRS zone doesn't come until the second one, so he still has a while to get back in DRS range and get within DRS of H Taylor, so he can pull himself along. But he seems to still be struggling here, while Jonathan Cox is all over the back of him. He's gaining there, and you can see just how much he pushes on exit, using the grass even for a little bit more track. Jonathan Cox keeping close enough for DRS range, keeps it nice and simple through here. He will have DRS. XD or lil-jim will not, so there you go. No DRS for lil-jim, DRS for Jonathan Cox. So now it is on between these drivers. Short Marcus just dropped back, so he won't have DRS. Further behind you've got Mr. Series under attack from George and Mitch. He'll have to try to keep them behind. He might even be able to have a look at some of these drivers further ahead if he keeps close enough with penalties. He might even be able to get a podium here. He might beat his teammate and Jonathan Cox, but of course he's got to keep within 3 seconds. He's already outside 3 seconds. He's just got another 3 seconds, so that's not what he would have wanted there, and that is 6 seconds of time penalties for him as Mitch goes for a move. But Jonathan Cox going for a move into T1. Jonathan Cox past lil-jim, and he'll now push towards the lead of this race. He's 1.5 off of H Taylor, 2 laps to gain, and then just a little bit to pass the Haas man. Jonathan Cox can still win this on track, you know. He might not be able to win it with all those penalties, but on track it isn't impossible. As things stand, it will be XD increasing his lead by even more on H Taylor, and Short Marcus finishing P2. Great race for him. He always does well when he can qualify high in the race. But of course, with all the penalties, we won't know till people cross the line exactly where they're going to finish. We could see so many people go flying up the field. Paul Harrison could be one of them. KRC, Paul Harrison, it's a penalty, but KRC, Chris, they're going to be the 2 people who might go flying up the field, see themselves into the top 5, maybe even further than that. I don't know we'll see any further than that, but it is a possibility, as Jonathan Cox has actually lost more time to H Taylor, but H Taylor's just all of his ERS there, so he's all out. Jonathan Cox though, back under attack from XD, he's all out of ERS. He defends nothing into T1 though. Further behind, Mr. C Ray's under attack from Mitch, but Mitch can't get anything done there. KRC looking for a move on Chris, but nothing is going to happen there. Here goes Wigan, Pistol Racing, trying to get out of the way of Donster. Donster goes a bit too deep though. He switches him back around the outside. He'll hold around. He'll hold on to position, or actually get himself up into P11 in this race. I forget who was behind who, but either way, they put himself in a better position in this race. H Taylor has pulled himself a 3-second game gap on XD, so if XD gets a 3-second time penalty here, it is all over. All he's got to do is stay behind Jonathan Cox and not get a penalty on this last lap, and he has the win. He has the win with the penalties, of course. But as Jonathan Cox will come through the chicane, we'll have 1 lap left to go. We're on to the last lap of racing now. So come across the line. He's got over a 2-second gap, so I don't think we'll see him drop. But Jonathan Cox has pulled XD outside DRS range, but not enough to the point where Short Marcus can have a go here. But we got to keep an eye on this, you know. Short Marcus, how much does he save DRS? He saved a lot of DRS. XD is all out. We're on the edge of our seat now. Is it's the last lap, and look just how close he is. This is nowhere near over. Short markers all over the back of XD, and he knows XD is running low. So there's an incident there as George drops down the field, but we could see Short Marcus get redemption. This could be redemption day for Short Marcus. He's all over the back of XD. He needed XD not to have DRS, obviously, but it is annoying that XD still has DRS on Jonathan Cox because he needs him not to. But look just how close he is on the Ferrari man. It will be a lunge for him. You can see he'll activate ERS. Look how close he is. Both of these guys going at it. He's going defensive. He's going even further to the inside. Down the inside. Goes. Short Marcus, remember this is for the win of the race. He holds on the inside, but XD's got the inside for the next corner. He'll have to stick behind for the time being, but so close for Short Marcus, he might not be able to get it here. He's not quite. XD holds position for the time being. He might try something to the last corner, not quite, and it is the win on track for H. Taylor, but once penalties come through, penalty for Jonathan Cox, once penalties come through, it is the win for XD. Short Marcus P2, so close. Short Marcus, he tried the lunge there, he almost got it, but so unfortunate for him there. I thought it was going to be redemption day after his disconnect, dropping down to P2 last week, but it isn't quite going to happen here, and it is the win for XD. And what a finish to that race it was. Short Marcus definitely driver of the day. Beautiful finish from him, and he's done very well indeed to win that there. XD wins. Short Marcus P2. H. Taylor takes P3, so XD will increase his championship lead to 11 points, and so close for Short Marcus. It was last minute lunge. Yeah, Short Marcus so close, almost got it. He had me on the edge of my seat there, but it isn't quite going to be. He does finish P2 in the end. XD wins, increases his lead. Short Marcus came from 9th to P2. Great drive from him, and he honestly could have won that race at the end there if XD didn't have DRS. But H. Taylor still manages P3 with his penalties. Chris P4, KRC P5, Jonathan Cox then takes P6. Mitch P7, Mr. C Rees takes up P8. Paul Harrison P9, and then Pistol Racing finishing off the top 10 for this round of OBF1. But that is it for today, and we'll catch you guys next time. We'll be at Austria for the Austrian Grand Prix in round 9 of OBF1.